Today we're cooking my all-time favourite cake, and I'll be honest, it's not much to look at. The clue is in the name, Nigella's sunken chocolate amaretto cake. It's a flat cake, but put that to one side because it tastes so good. It is chocolatey, boozy, and really moist because it's made with ground almonds rather than flour, which also means that it's gluten-free. It's extremely easy to make and the ingredients list is pretty short. Anyway, let's get going. This won't take long to make. You'll need a 20cm tin, definitely springform because this is a delicate cake. I've lined the bottom with baking paper and greased the sides with butter. We're going to melt 100 grams of butter and 100 grams of dark chocolate together. I'm using 70% dark chocolate and salted butter. You're supposed to use unsalted for baking, but I hardly ever do. Either use a microwave on half power or put a bowl over a saucepan of boiling water, but leave a gap between the bowl and the water. Once that's melted, set it to one side to cool a little. Add 125 grams of sugar to a large mixing bowl and crack in 4 eggs. I'm going to use my hand mixer to whisk them together. It's not very powerful, but it gets the job done. If you've got a KitchenAid or a Kenwood mixer, your eggs will probably end up fluffier than mine. I'll mix for 5 minutes until the eggs have doubled and look pale and moussey. Mix for 2 to 3 minutes if you've got a stand mixer. Now combine 75 grams of ground almonds and 2 tablespoons of sifted cocoa powder. I'm using raw cacao, but any unsweetened cocoa powder will do. I love that this cake has both dark chocolate and cocoa powder. It's really chocolatey. Turn your mixer back on and spoon the ground almond mixture into the eggs, about a tablespoon at a time. Alternatively, tip the contents of the bowl in because you've run out of patience. Just take care to avoid the fan on the hand mixer. It can sometimes blow the ground almonds and cocoa back out. The melted chocolate and butter should have cooled a bit by now, so add 3 tablespoons of amaretto. This is the perfect amount as you can really taste it in the final cake, but it's not overpowering. Give it a good mix. Let's talk booze. I don't really drink anymore, but I love booze in food. Amaretto works brilliantly here because it goes well with the ground almonds. I've used orange liqueur before, which was good, about 4 tablespoons. You can't go wrong with a chocolate orange cake. Bourbon was lovely and quite strong. Start with 2 tablespoons and taste the batter before adding more. The only liqueur that didn't work for me was cherry because it wasn't quite strong enough. The fruit liqueurs are more subtle. I spied my passion fruit liqueur earlier. I bought it to make chocolate covered mango pieces, so I'm going to try that next. You could leave out the booze entirely. If I were to do that, I would add a couple of teaspoons of espresso powder just to deepen the chocolate flavour, and you wouldn't taste coffee in the final cake. Turn your mixer back onto its lowest setting and slowly pour the chocolate into the egg mixture. Quality control is always a good idea. I lift the mixer and run it for a few seconds to get the batter off it, but don't do this if your bowl is shallow. Give the batter one final stir, then pour it into the prepared cake tin. Roughly level the top. Cole was surprised by the lack of effort that I put into my levelling, but it'll do. Final quality check, then it goes into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes at 180 degrees C, 160 fan, or 355 Fahrenheit, 320 fan. The cake's done when it starts to pull away from the edges of the tin. A skewer should come out mostly clean, but might have a few crumbs sticking to it. This particular cake could have done with coming out of the oven a few minutes earlier, but no worries, this is a forgiving recipe. Drape a clean tea towel over it and cool it in its tin. To be honest, I don't always bother with the tea towel. While the cake is cooling, whip the cream. In the original recipe, the cake is served with double cream and crushed Amaretti biscuits, which is amazing, but honestly, I've made this cake about 50 times and only served it with cream once or twice. You could serve it with ice cream, or sometimes we have it with berries and yogurt, but mostly we just eat it on its own. You're about to watch me over whisk the cream. A good tip from Samin Nosrat is that once the cream starts to thicken, switch from using your electric mixer to a handheld balloon whisk. That way you have more control. Crush up a few Amaretti biscuits and fold the majority of them into the cream. You're supposed to add a tablespoon of Amaretto, but I forgot. Despite my errors, the cream still tastes phenomenal. Actually, I'll talk carbs now, and this is another reason why I love this cake. It's a 20cm cake. If I were serving this for dessert, for say a get-together, I'd cut it into 8 and each portion would be decent. I wouldn't feel like I was shortchanging anyone. When it's just for me and Cole, I cut it into 12 and half of it goes straight into the freezer. It defrosts beautifully, by the way, either left at room temperature, but more often than not in a microwave. It goes all warm and squidgy in the microwave. With 12 slices, one slice is about 14 grams of carbs. An eighth of the cake is about 20 grams. 14 grams of carbs is pretty manageable for Cole and doesn't make his blood sugar spike too much. Now dust the top of the cake with cocoa powder. Nigella says that when this cake cools, it sinks and gets a frilly edge. I sort of have that here, but usually mine will sink fairly evenly. One more thing, if you're cutting back on sugar, I sometimes reduce the amount from 125 grams to 90 grams and the cake still tastes great. If you cut it into 12, it works out at about 2 teaspoons per slice. The cake's still a bit warm, which is always good. This is an 8th and this is a 12th. And these boys are going into the freezer. The rest will sit out for 2 to 3 days in an airtight tin. The recipe comes from At My Table, a great cookbook. All of Nigella's are. I noticed when I looked at the recipe earlier that I'd written in it the different liqueurs that I tried. That's how I know that it's a beloved recipe. I've either made notes or the page is splattered with sauce. A colleague of mine found out that I write in my cookbooks and could not have looked more disgusted about it. Is that terrible? Do you write in your cookbooks? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, an amazing recipe from Nigella, my #1 cake. I urge you to try it. And if you change up the booze, let me know how it turned out. Thanks for watching and see you soon.